This is you cannot barely see it nowadays. You really have to go up in the sky to see it. But I'm standing on the perimeter of a Rath, which is a circular enclosure in a townland called Rath, so Rath. Now, people call these things forts just out of habit, so they call them a ring fort. And this one has never been officially excavated, from like so many of them in Ireland, from what I can tell, because there's just so many of them. But this has been dated back to the 13th century, so the 1200s. You can't see a lot of it now, but it's a big, imagine this, it's all around here. It's quite low lying now. You can see the difference here to that, only a few feet. Now, this place, they call it a fort, but like all these places, they're used as defensive positions. There's no way you could defend this. Look at the height. There's not much sphagnum moss under my feet, and the top of the circular enclosure, it was probably at the max when it was built, it was probably 5 or 6 feet tall. There's no way you could defend this, and it's no use for keeping animals in. I believe that these were ceremonial areas or administrative areas like town halls where people came to for advice, and I believe this one here is much older than the 13th century. I would say it goes back to the Iron Age, and it's called Rath Scanlan. That denotes a Rath. That just means the circular ring. Okay, a lot of towns in Ireland begin with Rath. It is the Rath, the circular enclosure of, and then in this case Scanlan. But again, there's no way you can defend them. I believe that they were ceremonial areas where people came, almost like, maybe not even for religious, maybe they did, but also for administrative purposes. And the word Rath is similar to Kirk in Scotland, which denotes a church. So Kirk this and Kirk that up in Scotland is the church of, and the church of this. So again, you wouldn't know it was there. I'll try and get the satellite picture out and put it on this video. But an example of how little the mainstream archaeologists really know. It's all guesswork. They say it's 1300s because it's mentioned in an ancient document. That doesn't mean it was built then, but that's what they say, 1300s. The name of the town is Rath, but they don't necessarily believe it's a Rath. And as a defensive position, it's useless. This is where I was standing with the camera, just here. There are some stones here, but they're really quite buried now. This picture's from the 90s, and so you can see that it does rise up a bit here, but it's not a good defensive position. If you were building a defensive enclosure, you'd build something like a long fort. What the Vikings did, you would have a river here, so that way you don't have to worry here, or some one side to build against the river. That way you don't have to worry about defending all sides. So I don't believe, I mean, why these large stones in here? If that's just a cattle pen or defensive area, why go to the trouble of putting these large stones in? I believe that these were actually ceremonials or administrative centres, and they're Raths, not fort.